There we go. It says live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Urban Gardeners special live presentation here for the first day of spring. I'm glad all of you could join with me here today, and remember, get down there and hit that like button there. Let us know that you're here, and jump into the comment box there and either leave us a question or a comment or something like that. We'd love to hear from all of you. And like I said, today is the first day of spring. So for us here on the Urban Gardener, we're actually going to be doing a first week of spring. So this is going to be launching us for our first week of spring today with this special presentation. I've got a couple of special guests to join with us here on our live chat today, and I'm really excited about having them here with us today. We've been wanting to do this for quite a while. I finally got them here on our channel, and just really looking forward to our conversation today. And really want to welcome you all here. And let's see, let's go ahead and bring in our guests. We've got, let me see if I can get this right. And oh, there we go. Right on the side there, we've got up top, we've got Christopher Brandsdal joining us from Norway. Christopher's a good friend of ours from Norway. We've done videos with him. Hey, Chris, good to see you there. How you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. It's evening here, and how about you?
That's right. I'm not thinking about that time difference there. For me, it's just getting afternoon here on the west coast of the United States. And it's evening time for you there, Christopher. And down below him, we've got with us the pepper guru of pepper lovers community, Khang Starr. Khang Starr joining us from the Lone Star State, Texas. Hey, Khang, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Enoch. Thanks for that warm welcome.
It's great to have you guys with me today. I'm really excited I've been thinking about this all week when we finally got this put together, and was really excited to have this conversation today with you guys here on the Urban Gardener channel. And like I said, today's first day of spring, so a lot of things are going on out there. Gardeners are getting excited about the upcoming growing season, and I'm sure that you guys are as well. So you know, for me, you know, I really you know, when the gardening season gets started, I kind of think of it as the new year. You know, the actual New Year's back in you know, January 1st. It's just after winter started, and when the new year hits, it's kind of like you know, it's a new year, but then the weather just gets colder. It gets snowier, you know, all of that, you know, after that. In springtime, though, when spring hits, everything just starts to kind of just get better and better. You know, the flowers start blooming up, and you know everything's all ready to start getting in the ground. You know that your growing season is just right around the corner, you know. So I get really, really excited for spring every year, and kind of think of it as a launch of the new year for me. So it's kind of like my new year, you know. So I get really excited about growing all sorts of food, you know, and growing different types of things that I haven't tried before, you know. So all sorts of exciting things going on in spring. So you know, what about for you, Chris? What does spring mean for you all the way up there in way up in the north in Norway?
I have to say I kind of agree with you. It's for me it's two different seasons. So what I do is now I'm gearing up to go outside. I've started my plants, and everything is cooking in the garden now, and I'm getting ready. We still have 1 or 2 months more of snow, so it's not quite spring yet here, but it's starting to melt. We have good days now, and it's starting to look like something is happening. But also for me, since I live in Norway and it's so cold where I live, and we have such a short season, for me it's kind of two seasons. One season starts about now for the outdoors, and also my indoor season. So everything I do indoor, I grow my greens and salads and my herbs and everything. And that's kind of something I start in August. So for me, it's kind of 2 seasons, but I'm so much looking forward to the first season of this year.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and how about for you, Kang, there in Texas, who's you're even a couple of growing zones ahead of me down there.
Yeah, normally in Texas we have 2 seasons, summer and winter. But this year has been nice. We, that the crazy snowstorm, of course, just kind of set everything back a little bit. But
Right, yeah, that did just happen for you, huh?
yeah, and now the weather is beautiful. It's actually a little cooler, so it's perfect for a lot of the cool weather plants. But in Texas, it's crazy. It's cool one day, the next day is hot. So so we'll be back in the 70s Fahrenheit very soon. So it's way hotter than Chris experiencing right now.
Oh, a lot warmer than for me as well, too. The one thing I really like about Southern Oregon is we do just have all 4 of the seasons. So it's really kind of for us is really in that in between, between winter time and spring. It's the first day of spring, but it still can't decide whether it wants to freeze, whether it wants to just pour down rain, or whether the sun just wants to get going and all the flowers are like, oh, hey, it's celebration time. Let's get going, and then freeze next week. And so it's really difficult on a lot of different things that grow here, when it comes to that season, when it's time to break out, really can kind of, change a lot from year to year, as I've noticed around here. Definitely. But but we do get some of those really nice hot summer times and all of that too. And that's another thing, though, too. I think it's, one of the things about springtime for the 3 of us, though, the one thing we do have in common, though, is that we are on the Northern Hemisphere. We're not on the Southern Hemisphere, and it's not fall time, and we're not about to face winter time. So
Yeah.
everything is looking good for the growing season for us. All right, so again, I want to welcome everybody to our live stream today. We've got a friend of ours for the channel here, Chris Robles. He's down in Mexico, and he asks 1 p.m. whose time, I wonder. And I say that's my time. I guess we're all going by my time, I guess, or whatever. But let's see here. I'm gonna have to fix up something there. Okay, and then we got Granny Sam. Hello from Illinois. So Illinois up there, and let's see who else. We've got David Frana. Hi from Nebraska. So hi, David. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for joining with us today. And something actually we were talking about just before we were getting on here. Granny Sam was saying that fungus gnats destroyed my seedlings, so today I started over. We were talking a little bit about the trouble with fungus gnats. So how are you dealing with fungus gnats up there in Norway, Chris?
Okay. Yeah, I kind of have a fungus gnat problem. So if you see fungus gnats around me, it's it's just one of those days in the indoor garden. And I think fungus gnats, it's something that almost every single gardener has been facing, the kind of troubles with starting seeds, and suddenly you see these small black flies all over, and you're not sure how to deal with it, because the first instinct is that it's something flying, so I just need to trap them and problem goes away. But the thing about fungus gnats is they go down into the soil and they lay their eggs, and the larvae eat the roots from your plants. So that's why you lose so many of your seedlings to these creatures. And for me now in the indoor garden, I'm normally, or on a regular basis, I use predatory mites. And if you get that established in an indoor garden like mine, then you will not have any problems with fungus gnats at all. But I shut down my whole grow room over the summer, and I started it back up. And now with everything that I'm starting from seed, I actually have the problem with fungus gnats coming back. And I have fungus, where I have the predatory mites on the way in the mail, so they will get here on Monday, and then the problem will slowly just fade away again. So yeah, it's a huge problem indoors.
Yeah, I haven't had it. Well, I've been lucky actually my last couple of years with my fungus gnat issue. I've had really bad ones though too, and for me, mostly what my solution. I haven't tried any of the other like predatory mites stuff like that. I just, for me, I just kind of my poor plants kind of have to suffer through dry out, and I kind of just try to kill that cycle, and usually it works out all right, and for the most part, most of the plants don't die off or have too much of a trouble. At least all of the healthier ones, can handle that sort of dry out that I do. And then the ones that obviously aren't well enough probably, are probably going to be susceptible to those fungus gnats anyways. So we'll see that. And how about for you, King? You've been dealing with fungus gnats lately?
This year I've gotten lucky. I haven't had any fungus gnats yet. And I think one of the reasons for that is because I used preventive measure that I didn't last year. So I used the right type of soil that I know won't carry any fungus gnats eggs. And that helped a lot. And also, I don't bring plants from outside in, which I usually do. That is a terrible idea. You bring them in, one fungus gnat become 10, and 10 becomes 100. It's just crazy. And so, yeah, I've been lucky this year. Also, I think as soon as I spot one, I pick that plant up and take it outside.
Yep. Try to remove it from the scene real quick.
Right away.
Yep. You don't want to just like, and one thing I found though is like, don't remove them like too fast. I mean, literally walk them out of the room really slowly, because those main adult fungus gnats will kind of try to stick around wherever they are, and they will follow that plant out.
That's right.
And if you're just removing that plant real quickly, those other adults are sticking behind, and then probably go and find each other and find other places and all of that. So I kind of, it was one thing I found though that was helpful, was to kind of trail those suckers right out of the room, And then again, like you said though, is also some preventative measures. For me, I've got the space where I keep all of the house plants, and most all of these are healthy and aren't dealing with the fungus gnats. And the same, I'll remove whatever I see real quickly if there are any over there, but I've been lucky not there. Anything new or anything I'm doing, especially with like a lot of the seeding and making soil or doing all of that, it doesn't seem to be these things seem to come in on anything. I don't even know. And so, when I'm making stuff, I try to keep it away. So I'm in another room and I'm away from all of this. And then, and just that kind of seems to help, until I can find out whether or not those plants that I want to bring into, the herd or whatever, are safe and healthy and can, and aren't going to bring those fungus gnats in and all of that too. So that's good. Really good measures, those preventative measures as well. Let's see here. I think we've got someone else here. We got BD Beats. Hello, everyone. What's up? Hey, how are you doing? Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I see we got some people here. Remember to hit that thumbs up button down below there. Let us know you're here, as well as in the chat box over there. And let us know you're here. And if you have any questions for Christopher or Khang, please let us know, or myself, I suppose. Question too. And so let's see. Let me throw this back to you, Khang. What are some of the things you've got going on for this growing season coming up? Anything you're excited about? Anything new or anything like that?
I'm very excited about this season because I have fruit trees, of course, and this year finally I'm letting them fruit. So I have I think 4 pear trees, but one of them is 4 in itself. So I have 8 total different varieties. So they are finally to the size that I want them and allow them to fruit. And flowers are everywhere right now. It's just gorgeous. And then also, for the past month, I've been doing grafting like crazy. I mean, just take this pair, graft onto the other pair. I'm doing everything. And I'm also trying to do air lay for the first time. I usually don't do air lay because I don't need more trees. But I just wanted to try it because my pears kind of grew out of control, and I didn't just want to cut the branch off. And instead of just cutting it off and trash it, why don't I try to make a new pear tree out of that? And then I have, a lot of vegetables going on right now, like arugula. I've been eating arugula for like the past few weeks. A lot of them survived the snowstorm. It was just fine. I have a lot of peppers that was kind of like set back from the snowstorm because some of it died. So I kind of have to start over. So this season I'm a little bit later. So the guys on the PLC is gonna like be way ahead of me. But and then I have the AeroGarden growing all kinds of tomatoes and I'm doing fig cuttings. And then Chris just sent me a grow unit, which I'm so excited to grow some determinate tomato varieties. So yeah, I have a lot going on.
About you, Chris? What do you got going on this year?
Yeah, well, everything.
Everything.
I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place as usual. I am super excited about this season because last year was kind of a rough year for everybody, and I feel like so much of the energy went into kind of that year. But now everything is more settled. I'm more used to the situation, and things are a little bit easier. So this year I'm going all out. I'm doing my outdoor greenhouse fully, and so there's a lot of cold nights left. But my indoor, in the greenhouse I have 2 sweet cherry trees, and both of them are now producing green leaves and are starting to flower. I'm guessing this coming week, which is at least 2 months too early. So I'm gonna have my hands tied on that project, seeing if I could actually both pollinate them and be able to keep the flowers. So that's kind of an interesting bang start on the season. So I got that going. And I'm also growing all my regular like peppers and tomatoes, and I'm really gonna focus on getting some decent tomatillos this year. I really want to make the green salsa, which is both me and my wife love the green salsa verde, or what's it called? Yeah, and yeah. So I'm doing all those kind of things, and I'm really also focusing on the indoor garden. I really just started up again, and I'm going to grow a huge coffee again. I'm going to keep my banana growing, and I'm going to do a lot of fun things, and I'm going to experiment more. I like to play around in the garden. So yeah, there's so many things going on. But I'm just curious with you guys, because as you said, Khang, you had the issue now with the crazy weather down in Texas. And for me, when I kind of just threw in the towel for my indoor garden, and I just figured I couldn't keep up with the mealybugs and the thrips that I had a huge problem with for over a year, I just kind of, when I decided and I threw out everything, then I kind of just went into an inspiration mode, because for me, it's a brand new start, and it's a way for a new beginning. And I was just thinking that so many people that are not interested in gardening look at what I do and they say, oh, what a shame, you have to restart. But for me, it's kind of more of a blank canvas, and I can really do all the new ideas that I have, because it's so hard to throw out things that are working. But if you have to throw it out, it's a great beginning for something new and exciting. So I'm just curious about your takes on the same kind of mental idea of having something brand new starting up.
Let's go with you, Khang, first.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I totally agree with Chris. Sometimes, starting over kind of gives you motivation to see what's going to come out of, of something new. So I'll give you an example. Like I grew my fruit trees, and I had a really beautiful lime tree and also a beautiful lemon tree, and the snow just killed it. and, and I grew that thing for like 2.5 to 3 years now, and it's really sad to see it go. Cause it was a gorgeous plant, and now if I have to buy one all over again, I'm gonna have to wait and get it back to the size that it was. But the cool thing is, maybe I didn't like that lime tree that I had, so I'm growing a different lime this time because so it's kind of a bad thing that is dead, but it's also a good thing because I'm getting to try a new plant in its place. So yeah.
But the wonders of gardening, though, too, that's one of the great things about it, all of that kind of getting to start over kind of thing. I've also kind of thought of it like, I don't know if anybody's a sports fan, but, every new season, the last
Yeah.
one didn't work out. Well, we got a new season ahead. So I always kind of keep that perspective. There's always a new season ahead, and especially, as you kind of talk about these last couple of years for me personally, and, have been kind of difficult years, especially with everything else that we've all been experiencing together over the last year.
Mhm.
This last year just, got off to a really bad start. I didn't really get things going the way I wanted to, and so, when it came to getting into thinking about what I was going to be doing for this year and everything, it was just, that was one of the great things about gardening is this whole, I can do all of these things. I wasn't able to get that done. Well, now I can do this, or I can do that, in the garden. And, and it's that kind of regenerative rebirth, kind of like I get to start over, and that's kind of the perspective I'm kind of looking at right now, is, I've, kind of got that I'm starting over. I want to kind of get a good fresh start, a good jump start at the beginning of the season, and really go after everything with a real positive attitude, and not look at all of those kind of things that got in the way, failures or personal issues or whatever those things that kind of kept my garden from being the most optimal garden it could be, is all now in the past. And now we got a whole new season ahead to look forward to. And, I'm kind of excited about doing a lot of new and different things as well, too. I've introduced trees myself, mine in containers. And so I'm kind of testing my ability to get output from trees and containers. And so I introduced a couple of apple tree varieties. Actually, the season before that, though, I introduced a peach tree, which is still going along really well right now. Just pruned it up, a couple weeks back, and now it's all popping out for the season, ready to go. And same with the apple trees are looking good. And then I just purchased a pear tree, so we're going to be potting up a pear tree and trying to see how that goes, and kind of interested in see how that can work out for. Might have that limited little space or corner somewhere, and whether it's an apartment or something like that, that they might have, and be able to just put some dwarf size fruiting tree there, and see how well that works too. So I'm really excited about seeing how that works. And everything though too, from I got peppers that are all just my pepper tray every year I look forward to is bursting with peppers, and I'm just kind of getting excited about moving along with all of that too, so I'm excited about the whole growing season, all together. So and let's see here, let's check the chat box. We've got a couple of messages that have come in here. Let's see. Not sure what the multi-graph you did a few years ago, if he's aiming that towards me. That might be the peach tree, and that might be what he's talking about. I'm not sure there. And then BD Beats, have whitefly has been an issue in any of your gardens? Here in Florida, they tend to take over very quick, along with fungal issues when the hot, humid heat sets in this year. So he hopes to be able to control that. And another different climate from all what we all have there down in Florida, and whiteflies, though, I had some. That probably was one of my more bigger issues, I think, this last year, talking about that. I did for my garden. I don't know where they came from. And all of a sudden they were there. And all of a sudden they were on everything. And they're just the oddest thing, and how they could just take over so quickly. So I did have some whitefly issues, and I just used kind of an organic kind of spray that's got these different types of oils in them, to be able to kind of beat them back a little bit. But it's really hard. They really get around everywhere. So have either of you guys had any experience with whiteflies there? Chris, we'll start with you there.
Never seen it.
Never seen whitefly?
Never seen a whitefly.
You're lucky.
Is it a colder climate that you have there? That
I don't know. We have everything else, so I'm not
right?
sure. I'm not sure what that could be, but I've never. Well, it's probably something I would have noticed if I had it. So, but I've never.
You would notice.
Yeah, and I'm not sure outside. There's a lot of things going on, but inside at least, I've never seen a whitefly. So yeah, I don't know. I've had everything else.
Right. Well, lucky you. No doubt. How about you, Khang? Is whitefly an issue for you there in Texas?
Yes, whitefly is a huge issue here.
Whoa,
Chris, you're very lucky that you never got them. But
lights went out.
2 seasons ago, I had whiteflies, and I have no idea where they came from, but they started out on my cucumber plants. So whiteflies are these little, they look like little bugs that are white, and they have these wax layer, and they usually land on the underside of the leaves, and when you go near the plants, they'll start flying off, and you see them everywhere. And they multiply very fast. So that's the thing with them. They're like aphids. I mean, they multiply so fast. So what I had to do was I had to, I used the neem oil spray with some soap, and I had to go through my cucumber plants and spray under the leaf, every single leaf in the afternoon, of course. Don't spray during the day because it can burn your leaves. So every day after the sun goes down, I would take a spray bottle and I would go and spray every single plant around the area. And I did it for like maybe 4 to 5 days, because you have to keep at it, because if 1 or 2 lives, then they'll just repeat the cycle and continue to reproduce all over again. So you're going to have to just try to eliminate every single one of them, just like aphid. Excuse me, guys. And they got on my pepper plants, they got on my cucumber plants, they got even on any plants that are around the area, even like some of my herbs like basil and stuff. So it was a nightmare. But I cut a bunch of plants that are badly damaged off. That kind of help you get into where you need to go and spray them. So don't leave all of the plants, cut some off. It reduces the places for them to hide and stuff like that. So again, like Kiss was saying, sometimes you just have to start over. I mean, you have to get rid of some plants to save some plants, and that's what I did. I got rid of a lot of my bad leaves for cucumber, and I also pull up a lot of the herbs around the area that I no longer need, and I got rid of half of the plants in order to spray them, and then they were gone. It took a long time.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they don't become a real issue again this year. There's something else. You just, and like I said, and you're right. And probably my problem is that a lot of other gardeners find themselves into is just, I don't want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that out of my garden. I've been growing this whole time. It was really beautiful. Yeah. Until them whiteflies showed up, and next thing you know, it looks like it's got snow or ash all over it.
Yep.
And then these things start fluttering around all over the place, and then it's over, And then I'm trying to you should probably, once you find it, probably take this and just get rid of the if you can have a good eye on everything and notice them quickly enough.
Yep.
Just get rid of whatever it is that they're on, and just kind of move on with something new in that space. And or try to start over if you've caught it in time and able to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Gary Kansky, aloha from Hawaii. We got Gary from over in Hawaii. Another nice climate there, and he's got a couple DWC pepper plants loaded with flowers and now have aphids. What's a safe way to treat without killing the flowers? I'm worried. I think he means neem soap will kill them. So, I don't know necessarily. I mean, I think that in my experience, it's kind of troubling to deal with certain things when it comes to like spraying or doing things directly on a flower of a pepper plant. I don't know why they seem to just be kind of temperamental. I get every time I'm doing something with them, they all start to fall off or something like that. But neem soap, I think, would be one of the better treatments off the bat. I'm not sure. What do you think, Chris?
So to relate the problem to a huge problem that I had, because you might see my huge fig tree in the back there, and that's one of the trees that I wanted to keep from when I shut down the grow room, and I wanted to keep it all the way into the new season. And it had mealybugs, and the problem with those is that they are so tiny when they come out of the egg. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I just use a magnifying glass and I walk around and I squash them, because I've tried both neem oil spray and permethrin spray, and also dishwash spray or like a soapy spray. And all of these methods are really effective to kill, say, the majority of the bugs. But if you want to get totally rid of everything, I'll just say squash them. Just go ahead and squash. And I had aphids indoor in the grow room a couple of years ago on a couple of my huge peppers. And the nice thing about the aphids is that they are so big that it's really easy to spot them and to be able to just handle every single one of them. It's a lot of work, but if you really want to, if getting a problem or if losing your flowers and losing the stage of the plant is important to you to avoid, then I would say you just have to put in some manual work. And let's just say you put in an hour or 2 hours and just completely go over every single leaf and every single part of the plant. I know it's a lot of work and it's boring, but it's the only way to kind of just make sure that everything is gone and to make sure that you keep the plant healthy and safe. And that's also the best for the plant, because the plant will suffer if you spray it with anything, dish soap or permethrin or neem. Everything is going to stunt the growth of the plant, and it's going to stress the pepper out. So it's going to drop the flowers probably anyway. So just get in there with those fingers and just squash.
I say, and that, squash, and then as well as one of the things I do is that, you just get a nice good sprayer and get some water, just straight water, and just kind of squish and spray and just kind of, and just go over every inch of your plants. Hopefully your infestation isn't widespread quite yet. I've had to turn around, and not pay attention or go at it, go somewhere for a day or two and come back to your peppers, and all your aphids are everywhere and over everything. But like you said, you got to spend that time, and take that time and go through and check them all out. If it's really important to get that done, especially, you don't really want them to get out of control, because then that's when you're losing everything anyways. So getting down there, like you said, get in detail and really, just take that manual. Sometimes it ain't fun for some people to get in there and start popping them and getting them off. But, that, like you said, that's probably one of the better ways naturally, and, to get them taken care of. Let's see here.
Yeah, and also another thing that you can do if you really don't enjoy squashing the bugs, you could use a Q-tip and just have like isopropanol alcohol or something, and you just dab that on the tip, and you just go point on every single one of them, and they will just die from it. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but it's a lot of work, but it's the only way to kind of just make sure, if you not have a huge garden like I have, then it's not a solution to go around and handle everything. Then you kind of just have to do kind of a spray. But if you have a couple of plants, then yeah, I'd say use your hands.
Yeah, and in the where's he? Oh, there he is. I didn't realize that I had to bring you back myself there. Sorry, Khang, we got you back there. How about for you? What's any methods, Khang, that you use to deal with aphids in your garden, or with your pepper plants specifically, as they're asking about when it comes to flowers? They're trying to save their flowers.
I think this one is relating to the indoor DWC. Now, when you get aphid, it's a big problem because there's a lot of work to get rid of them, because you got to move everything around and they spread so quickly. So as you guys mentioned, the best thing to do is just to watch out and spot them early. That's the best, because you can treat them quick and not have a lot of damage. But if you have an infestation already, the thing for me is I don't mind cutting the plant back, because if you have an infestation, you're going to lose the plant anyway, So what I usually do is if I have aphids inside, the first thing you do is remove the plant that you have infested plant before it gets to the other plant. Just take it out of there. If you and pepper plants are very tough plants, and even they can survive an infestation, even in DWC. So the first thing what I do is I'll take that DWC unit outside and hose it down. You can just hose it down with a very strong jet spray to get rid of actually most of them, because when you spray, sometimes you may miss them, but if you jet spray them outside, they're going to fall off your plant, and then you let the plant dry up, and then you can spray the remaining with a neem spray. You got to spray underneath the leaf, not only on top, because that's where they hide. And if you don't spray underneath, then they'll just come right back the next day and multiply over again. So spray underneath, all over the place. Use your hand and glove and rub the oil into the leaves and all that stuff, and get rid of some of the leaves, like the bottom leaf. You don't need the bottom leaves, like around 5 to 6 inches from the bottom. Get rid of all those leaves. It allows air to flow, but also allows you to see the plants easier and treat pests easily. So, have a trunk bare for around like 6 to 8 inches bare at the bottom. And that helps with the airflow. It helps with treating pests and all that stuff. And, don't be afraid to pluck some of the branches off, because in DWC, they grow like crazy. You're going to have like a ton of branches. Cut some off. You don't need all those. You're going to get enough peppers if you do everything correctly. And then, trim your plants back so that you can get in there and treat the plant if you want to save it. But don't be afraid to cut the entire plant off and let the plant start over if the infestation is too bad. And that's usually what I normally do.
Go with another, just go after it. Don't worry about it. Just, get rid of the problem, cut it off if you have to, and that's the thing about plants and growing plants. A lot of us, like I was talking about with dealing with certain things with the whitefly, I don't want to get in there. I don't want to take my my plant I've been doing all this work with, and boy, it was looking really nice before all of this happened, and it's really a tough thing to be able to do. But when it comes down to plants and pests like that, sometimes it's just tough love when you have to deal with it, and you just got to kind of make the sacrifice and like you said, get rid of some of those real problem parts that you don't need, like you're talking about with the bottom leaves and all of that. And really, one of the better, like you're saying, is one of the better solutions, just kind of spraying it down. And like Chris was saying, just go right after those bugs if you can see them, and get rid of them there. And also, for like after everything kind of gets outside and in the garden and all of that too, getting back to the idea of just spraying them, that's really just my solution to aphids ultimately in the garden as well, is just getting a hose and putting it on the jet spray and just going down and washing plants down and repeating that over and over again, because I think we have Everyday Family joining with us there and from Canada, and they're talking about they used tape and they just collected every day, but kind of that same idea is that it's so much work, they say, and you got to do the work if you're going to get rid of a pest like that, and it's going to be something you'll probably have to also repeat your treatments as well too, in order to make sure, because like you said, Kang, with aphids, just one little leftover, you leave one little one behind, and they're right back trying to get back after it again. But if you're right back on it again the next day, they can only get they can only spread so much.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, if you're on top of them, you're going to be able to break that growth cycle that they're in, and ultimately your plant will then be able to regenerate, grow. And like you said, with some of those other varieties, and you got so much on the plant, just go ahead and do what you got to do to it, right?
Yeah.
All right,
also
let's see
have
who.
one.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I was just for me so the main thing that I do when I have a bug problem is that I just take an overlook and see how many plants are involved in the problem, and I feel like that is your kind of first thing to figure out. And if you have a small amount of plants, then you have more options eventually to be able to handle everything. But if you have several plants, and as you say, Kang, when you have several plants growing inside and you have a ton of pepper plants and everything is kind of exploding at the same time, then there is no way around cutting back everything. So it really depends on the situation, I would say. If you have one giant pepper plant, then you can prune and you can really get into that and use your time, and you can get rid of the problem. But if there's more plants, then you kind of just lost in the beginning, I think. So, yeah.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's see here. Who else we have? Was it Joaquin? I can't pronounce the last name. Sorry. Pietron says, "Hi guys. Good luck trying to turn." I don't know I'm not sure what they're talking about there.
I think
Yeah.
I think Joaquim is talking about the tomato plant that he sent me. I think the tomato seed. It's called
There we go.
Joaquim, I think good thing you mentioned that, because I'm actually I just started the seedlings for those now, and I plan on growing it in Chris's arrow box that he sent me, the garden box. And we talked about this, Chris. That's the variety that I mentioned, the hundreds and thousands. It's a heavy producer. So I think that's what Hakeem is saying. Good luck trimming that back, because those things produce like crazy, and that's what they call hundreds and thousands. They literally produce thousands.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I was just trying online to get some seeds for the same plant because I want to do the same experiment. And I think his name is Joachim, and I think he's from Norway. So, but yeah, he offered to send me some seeds also. But I think I got some local. But yeah, it's going to be a fun project, and
nice.
It's trying to stretch the limits for the grow box, I think. So but we have enough light. So yeah.
Yeah, excellent. That was one of the things I was going to ask you about, Chris, was that I've been watching your videos there. And also another thing too, I want to mention to anybody who's watching this now, either live or on the replay as well too. I did put links down in the description there to Chris's and Kang's channel there too. So you can go over and check out their channels as well. And but over on your channel, Chris, you built a kind of arrow garden type of hydroponic garden system. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so sure. It's something that I designed and made my own, made for myself, and it was kind of I wanted to have a good reason to buy a 3D printer, and I kind of just made that project. And I've never designed anything in 3D before, so this was my first. Well, it was my learning project, getting into 3D printing. So, but with that, as everything else that I do, I tend to overdo it, I think, and kind of stretch whatever my idea is. I always try to progress that, and it ended up being something of a product almost. It's something that I have been using it for almost a year now, and I shipped one to Khang, and his is just getting started. I want to make sure I didn't burn down his house first. So, but it's something that I've been using for a while now, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and it's something that I'm gonna do much more of in the future. And from the feedback, people are really interested in this kind of project, and I feel like there's so many people, and Khang and I have been talking about this on previous live shows about technical people turning to gardening, and it feels like computer geeks are growing peppers. I just get the feeling from my audience and from other people, and it seems like those things go hand in hand. And one of the other things that I'm working on now, and I sat until 3 a.m. last night trying to problem solve a new system that I'm working on, which is a computer for automatically level checking the water of my hydroponic setup, and backfilling and checking all sorts of things. And it's these kind of things that enable me to do my two favorite hobbies, which is electronics and computer stuff, and gardening. So there's so many overlap situations, and I feel like the growth system there is kind of just the baby of those kind of ideas that are swiveling around in the head. So yeah.
I think it's a really excellent project. I've been watching that, and also from seeing the pepper plant you grew in there, you just had to trim it back in a recent video, and boy, that thing just took off in that thing. So it really does work really well. And so I believe you made a second one and sent it off to Khang down there. So you received one of those down there in Texas, huh, Khang? And you're gonna be growing out of that this year?
Yeah, and I actually made a video recently, covering the unit, and it's actually sitting right over here next to me. I'm using the light to grow a bunch of stuff that I'm starting right now. So yeah, it's awesome because as Chris was mentioning, he and I sort of like, I mean, I'm not as tech as Chris, but we do have kind of like the same background. We work in IT in our day-to-day job. I usually don't talk about what I do, but a lot of people always ask.
Right.
So I just mentioned like, yeah, I work in IT and all that stuff, but I'm very much also a geek when it comes to electronics and all that stuff. So kind of like use what you like the experience in IT, how to make things more efficient, make things better, or like use the least amount of whatever it is, So I think that's how Chris and I connected. We just have the same common interest and passion about growing plants, but also technology in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using the Aero Garden for years, and I love that thing. And we talked about it, Chris and I, and he said, "Hey, Hank, I'm gonna build one." And I was like, "Are you crazy? You know how long that's gonna take you?" And he did it.
Yeah,
I'm the tester. So Chris made it. He tested it. Now it's my turn to test it to see if I can break it.
There you go. There you go. Excellent, man. That's really great. Yeah, I'm really, really kind of excited about seeing how those work out, and eventually maybe I'll talk you into selling me one someday when you start producing them massively and selling them across the globe to all the gardeners everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of a hassle. So my goal was, and as you said, Kang, you and I have been chatting back and forth for many years, and we kind of get the same ideas at the same time.
Yeah.
And when I started this project, I told him that I'm going to make 2 units, and I made them simultaneously, but I wanted to make sure that it was both safe and working before I shipped it all the way across the world. And the problem with, so the idea is great. The problem is that it takes you like 100 hours to make a single unit, because you have to 3D print for, well, it's not actual work, but you're 3D printing for days on end, and you have to assemble everything, and it's kind of a little bit, but there's certainly a platform, and it's something that in the future can be built on top of. And I'm working on open sourcing everything, but it's a lot of work open sourcing a project. You wouldn't believe it, but it actually is a lot of work, because you need to figure out a way to make people understand what you are doing in both code and cleaning up the 3D parts and doing all this stuff. But yeah, eventually it would be, my dream would be to make this kind of a DIY project, so people could buy components if they wanted to print themselves, or if they want to do something like that, and kind of make it like a Lego set or something, and make people join in with the idea of being able to tweak and do stuff with it yourself. But yeah, it's a fun project, but I have no intention of making any more right now, because I'm kind of fed up of the whole thing. but I'm probably sure that within 14 days I'm going to be hyped up again and be back at it. So yeah, we'll just see.
One of the things I did want to kind of mention too is kind of falling back on something we were talking about before we started the live stream. And it's we're just at the beginning of spring right now. We're getting our growing season started for this upcoming growing season. But one of the things we were talking about was growing during the wintertime indoors, and people really, that becoming something that people have been doing more, and there's been a lot more interest in and all of that. And I had mentioned that another channel that I like to mention a lot on my channel, Ray Browning's Praxis 55712 channel. And I know that's where me and Chris first met each other a few years ago through his channel. And that's one of the things that Ray's been doing over in his channel this last season, is growing a lot of greens. And we're talking about whole greens, lettuces and all of that, not just like microgreens. Microgreens is something that I've been doing over the winter time, for the last couple of seasons. Actually being able to garden and grow actual food inside your house during the winter time. Is there any sort of thing you've been working on or doing with that, Khang?
Microgreens. Funny you mentioned that. I actually started my channel out growing microgreens. Yeah, that's how the channel started. So yeah, I still grow microgreens all the time. It's one of my favorite things to grow and also to eat. I grow sunflowers microgreens, radish microgreens. I'm actually recording a time lapse of radish microgreens right now. It's on the 3rd day.
On the 3rd day?
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna let it run for 10 days. Usually 10 days is when I cut and harvest them. But flowers microgreens, if you guys never grown those, you must grow them. It's amazing. You can basically grow any plants as microgreens. Like for example, I do lettuce microgreens. I grow a ton of lettuce every season, and I always let like 2 or 3 plants bolt. And from the 3 plants, I collected like thousands and thousands of seeds. I mean, like so much seeds that I probably won't be able to use them all in 10 years. So in the wintertime, I use those seeds to grow microgreens. And I mean, even then, I still can't use up all the seeds. I still have so much. So yeah, arugula microgreens. I grow a lot of arugula microgreens, and I collect seeds in the summertime. And they are just so amazing. They're really strong and pungent. And if you add them to, any dishes or just for presentation, they look beautiful, and they're just great. And so I highly recommend if you ever grow these greens, let them go to seed so you can collect them and grow them as microgreens in the wintertime. They're just awesome.
Yeah, they really enjoy microgreens. I have another friend of my channel who lives up in Portland, and he runs his own like microgreens business out of a garage, and he makes microgreens out of all sorts of different things, nasturtium, things like,
Wow.
all sorts of, and it's amazing the different flavors you can get with that too. And like you said, it's just a good way to add some different types of flavors to things. One of my favorites is like you're talking about growing them out and collecting the seeds is, radish as well. And radish has all sorts of great phases to it. It's one of my favorite plants, and in fact, as far as edible plants, and because all stages of the radish are really great, especially like when the seed pods come out. Yeah, there you go. He's pulling them right out of his indoor garden. Yeah, which is what I was gonna lead into there too. Chris was. Like I said, radishes, I like it. I get them collect a ton of seed. They put out a bunch of seed, and you just let a few of them in the garden go. You just keep them in there and let them go to seed. I actually, I leave my best ones. As much as I'd like to eat those really good, delicious, best ones that are growing in there, I leave those ones behind. Let those form their stalks, and like I said, you can collect those little seed pods when they're young and green. Those are really delicious as well. And then after that, there's still so many of them, you just let the rest of them just go to seed. You collect the dry seed later, and then you got your microgreens to start all over again the next year and all of that. And that was one thing I was going to mention too, Chris, is you've got on your channel, I was watching recently too, Khang was mentioning, you guys do these really cool time lapses, was something I've got to really try with these new cameras that I got, and try to get these really long, really cool time lapses of the plants growing. You guys got a couple of really good ones, and I was watching Chris's box. You got a box. You want to talk about your box that you got growing with all the different things in your indoor garden, Chris?
Yeah, it's my black box. So it's kind of my savior. And I've been growing so many things in the grow box now. And the only thing that we were able to eat up everything I planted of is arugula. That's by far the favorite in the family. And I've let some of them go to flower now just to see, because I just find it interesting. It's a nice plant, and I just want to do that. But there is so many things you can grow indoors if you have some decent lighting. You can grow almost whatever, I think. And taste-wise, I actually do prefer the things that I grow indoors because it's controlled. There's no pests getting into it. There's no external problems, and you can really grow your plants to the way you want them, and you are so much more hands-on with the things that you have indoors. And I really find growing the greeneries indoor to be such a joy, and it is by far the most interesting thing to have, because you kind of get the summer feeling in the grow room. And there's so much, and I can just show off my Mizuna. Khang did the video about the Mizuna, and I wanted to try one also. And so we are eating and eating and eating, and as you can see, it's just we've just taken a little chunks out of it, but it's growing so fast that there's really no way for us to be able to eat everything. So growing the salads indoor, it's just amazing. The only downside to growing that kind of thing indoors is pests. Because if you have just regular houseplants, you rarely see any pest issues. But once you introduce things that you can eat, for instance, tomatoes or cucumbers or melons for that sake, or peppers or greeneries of any sort, then you will always get into a pest problem eventually. So that's just the downside of it. But other than that, growing, like for instance, I have growing, let me just clip off a couple here, Swiss chard. And
that's kind of right off.
the leaves are getting enormous, and it's just so tasty. So when I sit at my home computer, I actually sit on the other side of this building, and when there's time for lunch, I go in here, I have a bowl, and I just pick salads, and I throw a little bit of a dressing over it, and that's just my lunch. So it's just phenomenal and so fresh. And actually, your microgreens videos, Khang, was the reason why I connected with you and kind of found your channel. It was I was searching online because I really wanted to get into microgreens as a food source. So I checked online, and your videos was the first to get into it. So many people are coming to your channel for the peppers, but I really came for the salads and the greens and the bok choys and the tatsoi and all those kind of things that really inspired me to get into that kind of gardening indoors.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. You know, for me though, I ended up catching up with you, King, you know, through the peppers and all of that as well. And initially was one of the first things as I started expanding my ideas of growing different peppers and all of that was finding myself in the situation of having all sorts of different peppers growing all over the different place. You know, one of the things I really connected with your channel was the and I really enjoy too is you'll grow out of anything, all sorts of things. I mean, I think that you walk around and see everything as a potential pot for a pepper plant or some sort of thing like that too, and I really enjoy that about your channel and all of that too. But the one thing I did learn was the party cups.
Yeah,
I remember that, you know, you're using the double party cups with the, you know, cut in and all of that. And something I still use every single year because it's one of those things that when I found it when I found it and you were showing it to everybody, you know, I started using it. It worked. And then when things started working, you just use it year after year after year. And you can just reuse those things just over and over again, too. It's a really great idea.
Yeah, I think I started using those cups because you know, people have parties at my work all the time, and those things just end up in the garbage. I was like, wow, there's just so many. There's hundreds and hundreds of them, you know. So I collected a few. I was like, wow, you know what? Instead of buying these planter pots, why don't I just use these? And I used them. You know, there's just so many being trashed. So you know, you can use two, one for the reservoir and one for the you know, the soil. And then at the same time, I was growing, I was growing hydroponic. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just feed the plant hydroponic nutrients and see what happens? And then a week later, man, those things were so lush. So let me show you one more thing that I usually grow in. 1 second. I show this all the time. Look at this.
Oh my, look at that.
There's a water bottle. Okay, so I cut the top off, and these are shot glasses that you can also, you know, reuse. I just cut the bottom out, and I use that as a net cup because I ran out of net cups, and I don't buy net cups anymore. I use these cups now.
Oh, nice.
And, you see how many times I've used it because of all the names. I just cross them out. And then these here, we had a Christmas party, or the girls had like a bachelorette party. And they had a ton of these. So I was like, hey, let me have a few of those. And that's what I used to kind of like reflect light from getting, you know, prevent light from getting through. Normally I cut the thing in half, but this plant gotten so big that the roots were everywhere and I had to go travel. And the half cup runs out of nutrients so fast. So I had to cut the full cup. And so that's why there's a full cup right here. But look at all this. There's a bunch of flowers and fruits already.
That's excellent.
So as you mentioned, you can grow peppers in almost any cup. I grew one in a baby food container. So here I have a few pods already growing. And this is actually sitting under Chris's grow box.
Yes. That's excellent.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here real quick. I think we got a couple of other people who put in the chat there. Jimmy Espinosa says, hi, everyone. And Sherry K says hello from Northeast England. It's been a beautiful day in the garden today. Warm sunshine, long at last. Yes, that's great. That's one of the things that, I'm really excited about. It's why we're kicking off our first week of spring here on the Urban Gardener with this live chat here this week. Is a special week for gardeners because, we all get to get out into the garden. If not now or soon for guys like Chris up in Norway there, but spring's just that time of renewal, and we're really looking forward to all of our gardens and all of that as the sunshine is starting to beam down on us warmer and warmer. We've got David Frana asking, have you ever grown corn salad? Have either of you grown corn salad?
Nope, have not.
Okay, I know that corn salad's a good cool weather crop. I do have seeds for corn salad and was actually planning on planting some of those out to see if I can't get them growing here real soon. So I'm going to be trying some corn salad because I've actually, and this is another one of my tests of how long can you hold on to seed for, and will it actually continue to grow. So I've had this seed for a little while, so I'm like, better actually just start planting this and use it before it's actually really not going to germinate for me at all later on. So I'm going to be trying corn salad out. I haven't tried it before though. And let's see, BDB says herbs are on my grow list for the season. Also love the different types of basil. Basil, I know, is something Chris is really familiar with up there. And, the one cool thing about basil, though, is it is, like peppers and some other, most everything else is all the really cool varieties and the different flavors of basil that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any certain particular basil you like to grow, Chris, or
we normally grow the standard Genovese, or how you pronounce that, the Italian style basil. That's because that's the thing that we use in pizza, in pasta, in all the dishes that we make normally. Myself, I really love the Thai basil and the holy Thai basil, and I grow those just for snacking, because that's not something that my wife want to use in cooking. She don't like the anise flavor of some of those basils, but for me that's the best. But I could, there's prop time again, and
Chris with the props. I got one too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So this is what you call an indoor basil.
Yeah, and on your recent video, Chris, you were just chopping away at that thing too, and it's still huge. That basil plant's a monster.
Yeah, and I was doing several takes because I was messing up my language, and I was just chopping and chopping and chopping and chopping and throwing everything away. But now it's larger than ever before, and I have to say, every single year I do it a little bit better than the year before, and somehow this year it's just the most amazing plant that I have ever grown. But I have to say that growing such a thing indoors is really possible, but you just have to go full at it. And the nice thing about basil, it's a little bit finicky. If you grow just a couple of basil plants, you tend to overwater, and the plant cannot drink up the water fast enough, and the leaves turn yellow and everything. But the style that I grow, I just use a ton of seeds. People are asking me on my channel, how many seeds do you put in? Well, I don't know how far you can count, because it's really just a bag of seeds in there. And the thing is that when you do it that way, you really leave the watering to the plant, and the plant can take whatever you throw at it as whatever the pot can handle and hold. The plant is gonna do fine with it. So there's no risk of overwatering, which is kind of a problem with basil, because the basil plant can really take being dehydrated. So the leaves will just look almost dead, but once you give it water, it will just perk right back up. So it's really forgiving on the lower watering side. But if you overwater, then you will have a huge problem with getting it to really grow fast. So yeah. And
I think that's really great advice on the basil there, with the watering and doing it like that, in there too, so it's kind of regulating itself on, on that water intake. And one of the other things I think you showed too is really kind of important with basil too is the pruning though, is that and if you prune them right, you can keep them growing for
many years.
Amount of years.
Yeah, people everybody's just asking me about how long will it live, will it survive a full season, and how do you start the new one? And as I said, as long as you can keep the pests away from your basil, I think you can grow it as long as you can keep the pests away. So that's my simple answer. And most of these plants are plants that are native to really tropical environment, and for us, traditionally speaking, it's something that you will only be able to grow for a season. But now with the heating and the indoor grow lights and everything that is going on in this space right now, we are actually bringing kind of the jungle or the tropical regions into our houses with the lighting. And some of the newest panels are so strong that they're actually frying your plants more than the sun will do outside. So there's really no limitations anymore when it comes to that type of technology. So that's the reason why you can keep those kind of plants going for years. But with the basil, I would say, as I told in my video, it's really up to you how you want to shape it and how you want to grow it. Because basil is the kind of plant that if you just let it go, it will kind of go through its own cycle, which is just growing up, setting flowers, and kind of just stay that way for a while and kind of go dormant. But as long as you chop everything off at the top level and continue using it from that side, it will just try again to set flowers. So
just keep it from setting those flowers. Keep it cut back.
I let some of the plants go to flowers just because I love the smell of the flowers and the sweetness of the flowers. I really enjoy that also in cooking. So but you can mix and match, and it's a fun plant to grow because you plant the seeds and 40 days later you have like a bush. You can fence off your neighbors with it because it's such a huge plant. So it's a fun thing to grow, and it's delicious. And I also have to say, this is the only plant that I grow that is kind of economically worth it, because we buy those fresh basil plants at the store, which has a small cup with soil, and so they're kind of live plants. But we go through several of those a week if we're eating our regular foods. And our kids love pasta, and we love pizza, and we love all those types of things that kind of flavor go to. So we are actually saving money on growing such a thing indoors.
Yeah. You mentioned those ones that you get at the store. And just a real quick story. I went to Las Vegas to visit with, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know John Kohler in the garden community. And I went to go visit him, and he took me to this store where he bought boxes of these things in order to plant out into his garden, that just right from the thing. And that's what he grew from. That's just because he grows all of his garden from starts. He doesn't really mess with seeds or anything like that too. So that's something out there, you can also take those plants right out of the produce section there that are got roots on them there, and you can actually grow those yourself as well. Khang, do you have any favorite varieties of basil? I mean, real quick though, I'd say those, I agree. I think as you said, your wife likes the Thai basil. That's one of my favorites. I think I really like that one as well. How about you, Khang?
Yeah, Thai basil is a must in my garden. And every season, this is what I do. I actually have it ready to show you guys. You see, I never grow them from seeds. It's a waste of time. It takes forever. And also, you can grow this perpetually. So like last season, before the winter comes, I'll cut off a bunch of branches and take them inside, and you can grow them in hydroponic, and they'll just keep growing. And then as they grow, you cut them and you clone them more, and you cut them and you clone more. And then when the season comes back, you bring them outside. The reason why that is a good idea is if you grow them from a cutting like this size here, it is a mature plant already. And if you watch some of my basil videos, you can see that the basil are as big as pepper plants. They're huge. And they're like 4 to 5 feet tall. I mean, I can't ever use them. I mean, I have dry basil that are like a few years old. I put them in a jar, and and I never use them all because there's just so much, and I give most of my basil away. I grow them in raised beds, and you guys mentioned you have to prune the flowers. And in order for you to get more leaves, you got to prune the flowers. Anytime you see flowers, pluck them off. And I love growing basil for 2 reasons. One is we love eating them, and 2, they attract bees. The bees love basil flowers. So I always grow like 4 or 5 plants, and I'll save 2 for the bees. The ones that I save for the bees, I let those flower. The one that I save for me, I pick up all of the flowers, and all they get are just leaves. And I grow Thai basil and sweet basil, and just a few plants is just enough. I mean, my herb bed is just full of basil, and they just grow like crazy. They love organic compost and anything, a soil that can drain really well, but also if it can retain a little bit moisture. And that's all you need. You feed them every once in a while, and they just grow like crazy. And then if you need more, just clone them. Just cut off a branch, put in water, they'll grow right back. You get like thousands and thousands of plants in very little time. So yeah, that's usually what I do.
There's another variety. There's this here too. I do a similar thing that you're talking about. I've got this is Egyptian spinach.
Yeah.
So for me in my region where I grow, I can grow it really well during the summertime outside, and it'll go crazy and grow all over the place. But it can't handle the cold of the wintertime. So I'll just cut off just chunks of it and put it in a dish and, let it root up and it kind of hang out in the house during the wintertime. And then when it gets warm enough here, it'll go back outside and go do its thing again. But I think the Egyptian, it's delicious. That stuff is really good. Man, I really enjoy that. So that's one I recommend people out there to grow as well. Let's see. We've got Everyday Family asked about any tips on aloe vera plant turning brownish. You guys have some experience with aloe vera plants? Because I'm going to tell you, I'll admit right here, I literally have one that I think I might have a handle on a bit. But it's always been something I've always had a problem with, and not been able to grow very well. But do you guys have some experience there with aloe vera and them turning brownish?
Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. So I have one right here.
There it is.
It's just one of my small ones.
Just a little one.
Yeah. No, I have a couple, and for instance, this one is the one I'm turning into a bonsai, and the thing about my aloes. So when you see this one and you see the leaves are kind of purple brownish looking, that's just because I moved this one into a brighter light. So it's just sunburned. And as you can see, the new growth are just green and lush. And eventually these ones will turn green again. And I've had this cycle so many times on my aloes. And it's every time I bring them into direct lighting. So when I move them out, they just green up and everything looks fine. But when I move them into the harsh grow light, it kind of turns purple or brownish. It's mostly purple, but that's just because of the lighting. So, but when the leaves are turning purely brown, it's just the dying ones, the ones that are drying up and just dying. So that's my experience at least. But I've only grown aloe indoors. I've never had it outdoors because it would not survive here at all. So yeah, that's probably more your table, Khang.
Yeah. So I grow aloes every year, and I have so many right now, and I keep digging them out. I post a bunch of Instagram videos showing how I divide the pubs. So every season I get around 20 to 30 pubs that I got to divide. And Chris is right. Aloe, many people don't think that aloe is allergic to light, you mentioned, because they're succulents and they're desert plants, right? But what happens is a lot of the times people grow them inside in the wintertime because they'll die outside. And then when the warm weather comes, they'll take it and put it directly outside in the sun immediately. And then they start to burn and turn brown. So the same things for pepper plants. You got to slowly introduce it to light again. And once they get used to it, then you can put it in direct light all day long once they get adjusted. Because aloes do go through stages where they soften up when you take them inside because the light is less. The intensity is that it's not as hot. When you take them back outside, it's gonna get confused. It's get more sensitive. So it's what you're gonna notice is the tip of the aloe will start to shrivel and become really thin because it's drying on the inside. It's getting burned on the inside, so it's dying back, and it changes color. When it dies back, it starts to turn this purple color, and once the purple color get further, it starts to turn brown, and it will die at the tip. So to prevent that is take it out, put it for like an hour or two, and then remove it out of the direct sun. And do that for about a month, and then you can put it in direct sun all day long. Also, aloes don't like a lot of water because they're succulent plants. All the water is stored in the stems and the leaves. So when you water, you want soil that can drain through really well, that it doesn't leave water standing there so that the feet don't get wet all day long. And that's really how easy it is. You don't need to feed it very often. And that's it. Just well-drained soil. Introduce it to light slowly if you have grown it inside. And when the pups come out, you have to divide them, or else they'll suck the energy from the mother plant. So you got to divide the pups, and your plants will get enormous. The leaves will be like the size of your hand.
Great. Yeah. Sort of like what you're talking about, there's aloe vera, I guess is similar to most anything that you have in your house. If you're going to be taking it from indoors to outdoors, you got to be aware that your indoor light isn't the same as sunlight. And, for most anything, like I grow most all of my peppers to get them ready to go outdoors, indoors, or tomatoes, I get started ahead of time before they can go outdoors. And they've all got to go through a hardening off process. So they call it, just introduce those plants slowly to that sunlight, get them used to it. Then, for some things, it only takes a few days to kind of let it get used to it. Things maybe take a little bit longer, but you do want to just kind of give your plant a little bit of time to get used to such a more powerful light like the sun, So also BD asks about that fresh aloe vera has a hormone that can be used for quick rooting with cloning. Is that something that you're familiar with there, Khang?
I'm not sure about hormones for cloning, but it does have the antibacterial properties that will assist the plants from being infected. So the aloe gel is a preventer. It prevents the plants from getting infected and rot. So it does help with the rooting process. But as far as hormone, I'm not sure about that.
Also wanted to know about you recommend herbs for containers or raised bed gardenings if growing multiple varieties for larger production? Well, I mean, I think in large production, I'd say myself, a raised bed, more space, more space. And depending on whether or not your raised bed is closed off on the bottom or not, or if it has access to ground underneath of it where roots can continue to grow, you're also talking about root depth and all those sort of things as well, which give you maybe stronger, more productive plants. I don't know if any of you, Chris, do you have any ideas on that at all about the containers or raised beds? I suppose it also depends on space and what you're working with as well too.
Yeah, I'm growing so many different varieties, and I'm only growing in raised beds. And the reason for that is mainly it's easier to maintain. It's easier to separate the plants from the weeds, and also you can build more of your raised beds the way you would like the soil to be composed. And for me, I grow sage, oregano, thyme, and basil, and every kind of thing that are sage, if I told that, in same type of species. So yeah, I grow a ton of these, and the real guru on that should probably be Khang, and he's growing some phenomenal things outside. And I so envy you the growing season that you can have on those type of crops down in Texas. It's I need to grow everything that I'm growing. The only thing that I can grow outside is mint and oregano. Yeah, mostly. All the other things I'm growing in the greenhouse just to make sure that it survives.
Yeah, definitely. If you're growing for large productions, I would recommend a raised bed. And I find that the raised bed with the proper depth, as Enoch was mentioned, will give you the best growth and also the best production. I grow a ton of basil, and only a few plants will give me more than enough to use. I mean, I cut those things and I give them away. And if you grow them in the raised bed, they get enormous, like little bushes. And when I give them away, all I do is I cut one branch, and that's enough for one family. It's a lot of leaves. So yeah, raised bed is the way to go. It's also easier to maintain as well. You just leave them there, and they'll just grow. And I think in containers, you may be limited to space, maybe.
Production, as well. And that's kind of, I think, what the question was kind of geared towards, was the idea of wanting to produce more.
Mhm.
And in that idea, then, you definitely want to, if you've got the ability to grow in a raised bed, if you've got that, and especially, like I said, if it's a raised bed, especially that isn't closed off at the bottom as well, if it has access to more ground and the roots can really continue to grow. So if you have that sort of thing and you're looking for production, then yeah, definitely a raised bed is probably the best way to go if you're looking for more. But again, like Chris has shown, and if you're looking just maybe for producing for your family, you don't really need that big space. Nice, decent light, good sized container, whole bunch of seeds tossed right in. And next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of basil and plenty for you and probably your neighbors and friends as well too. So, and let's see here. I wanted to talk about one thing too. I'm going to get back to the idea of growing out of small containers, and that's one thing, King. Like I said, I've always kind of admired. And I don't know, I get a little smile out of your channel every time I see something new or some new little thing or whatnot. But one of the things that's been going around for years, though, too, is this idea right here. I've got mine in it's a Umix strawberry nectar can with the pepper in a can. So, I'm doing this for my first shot this year at doing that sort of thing. So, you want to explain about growing, especially peppers, in such a small container,
Yeah, I find that when you grow, peppers can grow in any size container, like the mini cups all the way up to like 15 to 20 gallons. And when you grow in containers, the thing is, the roots need to move around. So if the roots reaches the bottom and they start to circle around, it'll tell your pepper that it's time to produce flowers. So if you grow in a can, also, because can traps heat in there. So if you grow it in a can and you leave it outside, the can would trap heat and it'll heat up the root. The plant is going to stress and it's going to drop all the flowers and stuff like that. So when you grow it in a can, you need to kind of like put in a little bit of work. You got to keep the roots conditioned. I suggest poking holes at the bottom to allow water to come out. Unless you know, yes, exactly. Unless you know exactly how much to water, like you can actually feel the can when it's empty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's got
Yeah,
it. You
you
can
can
feel the
feel the
weight,
weight of it.
the
If you
water
don't want to
weight.
cut holes, like if you grow it in your grow tent, you're gonna have to feel the weight of the can when it's not water, and then feel the weight of the plant when it's water, and then remember that so that you don't overwater, because the water down there will rot the root because it has nowhere to escape, and it's gonna take a while for the water to come up and evaporate inside your grow tent. So in the meantime, your plant is already swimming in water, and it start to kind of like deprive
Yeah.
of oxygen, and it will start to turn yellow. So
Mhm.
definitely a good
Changing the
idea to have
pH too of
holes.
the soil.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they trimming is great too, because sometimes when your light is not strong enough, the plant will grow too tall, and
Mhm.
it may fall over. So you got to have sufficient lighting in order for your plant to grow nice and short and strong. And you can tell your plant is stretching if each node between the leaves is more than an inch and a half. Actually, an inch is a good sign that it's getting enough light. If it's more than 2 inches between each node, then your light is not enough, and that means your plant
That's
is
good.
stretching. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a good tip there to think about though too. Is that space between them and whether or not your
yeah,
plant is actually, stressing or trying to, reach light.
yep.
Definitely. And are you got any sort of different types of things that you're growing there in Norway, sort of like the pepper in the can or anything, or have you tried that before there, Chris?
Yeah, I've been doing it several times actually. I have one started for this year. I'm growing peppers in so many different ways. I find that the most interesting. I grow it hydroponically. I grow it in soil. I grow it in small pots. I grow it in huge pots. I grow it in directly in the ground, and I grow them every single way. And as Kang said, it's so much fun to see the plant adapting to the situation. And
Mhm.
I've been growing peppers in really um, humid, less air, so without any humidity, and it grows really nice and large. And I also did an experiment a few years ago where I had an old aquarium that I completely sealed, and I was growing moss inside it. And I also wanted to see how would, for instance, a Thai pepper do in that sort of situation. So I planted a seed, and the plant just grew perfectly. It totally adapted to the kind of cold feeling of the forest floor that we have here in Norway. With I have
Yeah.
some pines, and I have all sorts of small seedlings growing in the moss, but the pepper was doing just fine. So I think it's one of the most adaptive plants that you can really grow, and I think that's why it's so popular and people are growing it everywhere in every style, because it
Yeah.
really can handle almost everything you put it through. But the one thing that I find with peppers is that once you get it started in one way or another, it really likes to continue in the same style. So if you
Yeah.
grow something in really like in 100% humidity, almost a foggy aquarium, if you bring that outside, it's gonna die.
Yeah.
And also if you grow it in a really dry or like a bonsai style, you grow it in bonsai soil and you move it into high humidity, it's not gonna enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
So they adapt in the beginning, and you would kind of want to continue that same idea for the plant.
Excellent. Right. Well, looks like we're about, I'm not sure how much longer. I don't think that was, we probably should have talked about how long we were going to go today. But I'm sure here we've been chatting about for about an hour and a half now. And unless there's any other questions or comments or anything like that that anybody would like to get into the comment section over there, please jump in real quick. Let us know here. If not, there was one thing I was actually going to bring up. I don't know if any of you guys have any experience with them, but I got these the other day. I thought they were really interesting. This is just a air plant. You guys have any experience with air plants at all?
Nope. It looks like a
No?
pineapple head.
Oh man, I was hoping I was going to get some. Yes, well, yeah, I thought I saw these at a local store and I had to get them and check them out, and they're really interesting. The idea of a plant that, well, I mean, I guess they do need to be watered. You soak them in some water, from what I understand. Like every couple of weeks, and then you let them dry out. But they just live without a real root system. There isn't really much roots at all that grow on it.
That's really strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
then
I
they
guess the
just
water
grow, and then
they take
eventually,
water up through the leaves, huh?
yeah, and then eventually I got this other one here, produces this really cool flower. I don't know if I can get that angled
Beautiful.
right to the camera. It's got not only the cool pink flower there as well, but these really cool little purple flowers in the middle of it. But yeah, it produces this whole really cool flower, all from something that doesn't really have any root system at all.
It is so much fun to see the diversity of the plants, and you kind of want to just have everything. so you
Yep.
get an idea, you see something online, and you say, okay, this is something, and then you kind of just have a period where you really get into those types of plants, and in the end,
Right.
you will just have a large variety of plants, and that's the thing that I see now with my indoor garden. It's in the beginning, I started with regular plants that I could eat from. So I wanted tomatoes, I wanted squash, cucumbers, and that's about it. That's my start. And then I got into house plants, and then I got into exotic trees, and I got into all different types of things. And when I look around now, I kind of have one plant from every kind of natural habitat. So I think that those I'm working on making a new office, a home office, like a kind of a huge garage, and I'm actually thinking of doing a large display with those air plants, because I really love those, and I don't want to have soil and electronics together. But those air plants are just perfect for something that you could just take down from the wall, get them outside, mist them, and really get them watered that way, and just hang it back on the wall. And it's a really nice way to grow without all the mess of the soil or the water or whatever. So yeah, they're fun looking, but I think they grow slow.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, like I said, it's a whole new experience for me and all of that. They're just a very intriguing little plant. Everyday Family did get in there and say that in the wild, air plants have roots to hold on to the tree, so they hold on to trees with the roots, I suppose. So they probably grow a bit more of a root system on there and all of that, and then get probably a lot of their moisture from the air, probably in where they're native to. But yeah, very intriguing plants. I bought the first one with the flower before it even flowered, so I had no idea the flower was even coming, and it started bursting out this really cool flower. So it's like even cooler. So I'm kind of interested to see what the other one does as well. All right, so let's see here. I think we got a couple of other people that jumped in there to say thank you for the live stream and for all of the great tips. We've got say GarthTube17 jumped in there, and DNR says again, like, thank you for so many tips, all the great tips, all the cool, fun, exciting gardening that we all got coming up here this as spring is just getting started for us. It's the first day of spring, and yeah, just really looking forward to all of everything that's going and going to be growing this year. So I think with that, I think we'll kind of go around real quick with like some I don't know, I guess closing comments, and let us know what you got coming in your channel and all that too, because I want to remind everybody I did put links down in the description below to all of our to Khang's channel, Chris's channel, and and all of that too as well. So go check out their channels if you're visiting from either one of our channels, and all of that. Show some love around, would be really, really great. And Khang, you want to kick us off as we end this live stream here?
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot of exciting things coming up, and I have a lot of videos in the making because I record them over a period of sometimes a few months, sometimes an entire year. I have a pair video that I've been recording for the last year, so it should be coming at the end of the season. It's going to show when the pear begins, start to flower, fruit, and then end at the end of the season. So it's going to take a while. I have a bunch of time lapse that Chris and I are working on. We talked about time lapse, so I'm all into time lapse right now, just to catch up with Chris. So I have radishes that are growing under time lapse, and after that, I'm going to do more microgreen time lapse, maybe more hydroponic time lapse, and all kinds of stuff. And I'm growing melons in hydroponic. I'm growing tobacco, guys. It's going to be awesome. I don't smoke, but I just love growing tobacco because they're such beautiful plants. And I love the process of fermentation. So I'm trying to learn how to make cigars and all that stuff. So this year, hopefully, I get better. Last year, I made 2 cigars, and they're just bad. It didn't turn out right. It looked like a cigar. It didn't turn out right. I mean, I didn't smoke it. I just wanted to learn how to make it. And I'm growing Chinese cabbage because I'm making kimchi this year. I might make a video on that. So
yeah.
And of course, peppers. There's a bunch of peppers that I'm growing, and I'm doing some new breeds. So yeah, it's very exciting.
And don't you have like a pepper growing contest you do as well?
Yes, the Lemon Starburst contest, and I joined our friend Sean in the UK, Chili Chump. We're growing poblano peppers, so I just entered the contest, and my plant is around this big right now. So hopefully I'll make it somewhere, up there.
Right on. I'm just getting my poblanos started too. And how about you?
Too?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I again, going with that whole thing about old seed. I don't know if my seed was too old that I actually had that I've been growing up from, because each year I just plant new seed. I grow my plants all together and do all that. So I plant new seed, and so I think my poblano seed wasn't good. So everything else was popping up all right. Those poblanos weren't. So I had to go run out, get new seeds. So now I'm waiting on them to come up too. So they're falling behind everybody else right now. And how about for you, Chris? What do you got growing on this season?
Oh, there's so many things. And hopefully this season I'm going to be able to make a lot of videos about it. That's really my main goal. And I want to make more videos. I want to get into doing live videos. There is so many things that I do in the indoor grow room. And there's so many times that I feel like it would be nice to just grab the camera and to just do something interactive with it, because there's kind of, so now I have a project going. I started watermelon. I want to grow a huge watermelon indoors with my grow lights. And I got 2 plants and asked people if they wanted to see me grow it in soil or in water. And it was close to 50-50 on the answers about it. So I decided I should do both and maybe do a video about my experience growing the watermelon in soil and in water, and to just kind of compare them indoors. And that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. And it would be nice to be just doing something live when I pot up and I place it in water and get everything set up. It could be nice to do a live thing about that. So that's kind of my idea on moving forward into this season. And there's going to be so many more projects. So I'm super excited. And I'll just have to thank you, Enoch, for inviting me into this live stream. It's so much fun speaking with other gardeners. And I feel like these types of setups is something that we can do much more of, because it's entertaining for me personally. And I learn so many things when we connect like we do now. And I feel like the whole live thing with videos it's kind of an important thing to be able to interact with people and to be able to ask the questions, because sometimes when most of the times when I make a video, there is so many questions out there that I really didn't think about to cover when I do the videos, and the things that I feel like are the most important to get information out about, it's not that interesting, and people want to learn more about how do you this and that, and with the live setup you can kind of just focus the information over to what people are really interested in knowing about, because between us we have so many years of experience growing these types of setup, and with Khang, you've been doing this for so many years, and me and myself have also been doing indoor gardening for so many years, and it is a lot of experience that everybody can inform each other about. So yeah, share around. So yeah, but once again, thank you so much for having me. It's such fun. It's a nice Saturday evening for me.
Yeah, that's the thing we got to remember. This is Saturday evening. We've been going a couple of hours now, so it's getting late into your night there up in Norway and all of that. But again, I'm really, it's something that we've been talking about, and over this last year and all that, and seeing how things have kind of, I think people are getting more and more used to even this sort of like viewing of things. People from their own in their own little spaces, their own little setups. The whole Zoom culture is things have been kind of changing into, and all of that, and so and it's kind of good to be able to kind of harness that a little bit, and be able to do kind of like what you're talking about, be able to share some of these things and this knowledge that some of us have, and to be able to bring that to other people out there who are out searching for some answers on things. And being live, like you said, is a really good opportunity for people to just be able to jump in, ask questions, and kind of get those questions answered, because it's really fun to be able to make videos. I love making videos. It's one of the things that's really kind of changed my life in a sense. Gardening changed my life. I talk about that a lot too, in a sense. There are a lot of reasons that in my own personal life that gardening has been kind of something that has really helped me with, not just growing food and being able to have really good food and that sort of stuff, and learn how to do that sort of stuff. But gardening is a place where I just find a great is a great place to when you start getting your hands in dirt and you start growing plants and doing that sort of stuff. It's just really kind of it helps change kind of the mindset a bit, and it's really been something that I've really enjoyed a lot. But when I picked up the camera and started sharing that with people and started making videos, and I have fun doing that. I kind of have a background with, somewhat background years ago that I'm trying to retrain myself on with cameras and all of that to be able to share with people. But, live gives you the opportunity to share what's going on right now, versus being able to, or trying to formulate something and put it together, even though that process is really fun, sort of like what you were talking about, Kang, about spending a whole year putting some videos together in order to kind of show people that whole long process too. And that's just one of the things that makes all this fun, and I just really enjoy it. Enjoy having people like yourselves join along with me in what I call my garden adventure here on the Urban Gardener. It's it's always fun. There's always things going on, and again, just super glad that you guys came along with me today to do this live stream to kick off our week of first week of spring and getting our growing season. And again, like you're saying too, I really hope that we can get together and maybe do this some more, because it was really a fun couple of hours here talking about all of our garden. Maybe switch around on each other's channel, able to share some more gardening knowledge too. So again, all of you who are joining in with us and watching this live stream, I want to thank you. We had a couple of people in real quick at the end. Joseph, and said hello to all three of us there, and then again, I think we had Sage saying thank you guys. Hope you do this more often, and again, I do hope so too, because this is really fun. So hopefully we'll be able to plan something and get something out again on some live streams here real soon. And then we have a quick question from Seed to Harvest. How long does it take for a bell pepper hydroponically with some grow lights? We have plenty of sun here in South Africa. South Africa. Ooh. Another, well, there we go. There's what we were talking about here. For someone from the Southern Hemisphere who's not looking at spring right now. So, but I'm not sure whether the question is, how long does it take for a bell pepper hydroponically with some grow lights? Probably from seed to, I would, myself, under lights, I'd imagine, right around the 90-day kind of thing. What would you say, King? For a quick question as we head out.
Yeah, so in hydroponic, they do grow a little bit faster. For a bell pepper from seed to harvest, I would probably say around 4 months.
4 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to get a mature plant to produce nice big bell peppers. Yeah.
Got any experience with that real quick, Chris?
Yeah,
Hydroponically?
I'm always topping, so I never test that idea because I let it grow, I let it flower, I chop everything off, and then I regrow, and then I chop it back down again. I really want to get the strong stem on my peppers indoor hydroponically, so I have no idea.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris. Thanks, King. And again, everybody who's joining us with the live stream, right down below in the description, I've got all of our links. Go check out the Kang's channel. Check out Chris's channel. And thank you all for joining us today on this live stream. We'll see you all later.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.